Simon's mother-in-law lay sick with a fever, and they told him about her. When it was evening, they brought to him all who were ill and possessed. One of the reasons we come to Mass, and that the Lord asks us to come to Mass on a regular basis, weekly basis, is not simply to fulfill a rule or an obligation, and it's not only for our own personal holiness or sanctification, though certainly it is that, and a variety of other reasons we could say. But it's one of the reasons we come to Mass is for the sake of those who aren't here at Mass. That we gather here for all of those who won't come, who don't come, who can't come. And we're meant to come and pray for all of them, the rest of the world. It's not only about me, but I'm here for the sake of others. We hear in our first reading today this seemingly not so uplifting reading from Job. Is not man's life on earth drudgery? My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle. They come to an end without hope. I shall not see happiness again. A real pick-me-up sort of reading today. But when we hear readings like that, perhaps we may not be feeling that way. Sometimes I think I feel that way every morning before coffee, and then once I have a coffee, we're good, It's not man's life on earth drudgery. Oh, coffee, we're good. But that there's probably someone in the world feeling this way, even if I don't. As part of the commitment that priests and deacons make is we promise to pray a prayer called the Liturgy of the Hours, the Breviary, which essentially is praying the Psalms at different points throughout the day, each day. I've certainly had moments when, it's a beautiful day outside, the sun's shining, I'm feeling great and happy, and then I open up to pray my breviary, and there's a psalm there, and it's a lamenting psalm. That's, my life is misery, and where's the hope? Where are you, Lord? My one companion is darkness. I'm like, sort of throws a damper on the day. So I used to have a real hard time praying those lamenting psalms when they come up when I'm having a great day. But of course, as a wise priest taught me, you're not praying those psalms merely for yourself. You're committing yourself to pray this because you're praying on behalf of the church throughout the world. That there's probably somebody in the world who's feeling this way right now. And maybe there's someone in your life you can think of who may be feeling this way, or maybe someone you don't know. But there's probably someone feeling this very way, crying out to God in this way. And so you're crying out to God, shouting to God with them, in union with them, solidarity with them, praying with them. Or there may be those who are feeling this way but don't know how to pray, or don't know God, or don't know how to call out to Him. And so we offer it on their behalf, crying out, shouting to God for them. Crying out to God on their behalf, interceding for them. So that's part of what we're called to do as Christians, to pray, to intercede for the world. That's part of our priestly call. In the Old Testament temple, the priest, when he would enter into the sanctuary of God to offer sacrifices on behalf of the people, to pray and intercede for the people, he would wear a breastplate, a square breastplate that would have 12 precious stones representing the 12 tribes of Israel. So he would be bearing on his heart this image of Israel and all their needs and sufferings and petitions, crying out to God, and he would bear that as the priest to the altar of God. And now Jesus Christ, his sacrifice, has become the new priest, the new priesthood, and has formed all of us into a priestly people. And so all of us, by virtue of our baptism, have a priestly call to like the priests in the temple, bear the needs of the world to the altar of Christ. It's like what we hear in the gospel today, that when Simon's mother-in-law was sick, it says they went and told Jesus about her, so he'd come and heal her. If you notice, it says that it didn't say the sick came to him on their own, but that they were brought to him. They brought to him the ill and the possessed, those in need, that they were carried, brought forth by others to Christ. I think of also the famous story of the paralytic. You probably remember that story. How there was the friends carrying their paralytic friend, trying to bring him to Christ. It was so crowded they couldn't, so they went up on the roof and opened up the roof and lowered him down, where he experienced both healing and forgiveness by Christ. And so too it is with us. Our priestly call. All of us, by virtue of our baptism, are priests. You may think, a priest? I don't have a cool little collar like Father Kevin up there. But all of us, by virtue of our baptism, have a priestly call. Certainly we distinguish between baptismal priesthood and sacramental priesthood, but all of us are a priestly people, called to share in the work of Christ as priest. That's to do that very thing. To come to Mass and bear on our hearts the needs of the people, the prayers that we're bringing. And that's where you have a full conscious active participation in Mass. Mass isn't about you coming and then, being bored while Father Kevin prays a prayer up here for a long time and does all the fun stuff up here. But when we kneel in prayer, especially during the Eucharistic prayer, we're to take all the needs of the world, for the world in general, and then more particularly our community of the Archdiocese, and more particularly our communities in which we live, in Ackley or Geneva or surrounding areas. And then also the particular people in my personal life, my family, my children, my grandchildren, my friends, my neighbors, the people at my workplace, including that person I don't like very much who really annoys me, right? Love the annoying. And my clients who I serve, or the students who I teach, or my fellow students at school. The people we encounter, that we're to bear them on our hearts and offer them up here on the altar. Part of the reason we have people bring gifts from the back, that inefficient way of bringing the gifts forward, is exactly to remind us that we're to make an offering. Offering, yes, our gifts, ourselves, but also our prayers and our needs up here with Jesus Christ. You see, it's on the cross that Jesus made the perfect offering to God. That he himself was the high priest who offered the perfect sacrifice, that is himself. And it's only him who's the perfect priest who offers it perfectly. But God, in his gracious mercy, extends that moment, the saving power of the cross, to us in the holy sacrifice of the Mass. What happens here at the altar, we believe, it's the extension of the power of the cross across space and time extended to us, so we can unite our lives, our prayers, our offerings that we offer imperfectly as imperfect people, but to the perfect offering of Christ, to God the Father, who receives that, receives our offering through Christ, and in return infuses the world, infuses our lives, our prayers, our needs, our petitions, all of that we offer, infused with the grace, with the presence, with the divinity of God. And very literally filled with his presence, especially in and through the Eucharist, that we receive his very presence into ourselves, that we then carry into the world in all those people, those situations, and so on. That is our active work as Christians, to pray for the world, to unite the world to the saving power of Christ's cross that is the world's salvation, so the world can be infused with him. And that for us then is why we come to Mass, not just for ourselves, but to share with Christ in an active way in his work of redeeming, saving the world. Amen.